What up, players? Subscribe! What up, players? Wobots stay up in this mud. Wanted to do a little unboxing video on the Imperial Guard Commissar that I picked up, the new Finecast model. But I didn't want to do it just like a regular unboxing video that you see everywhere else, so I thought I'd make mine a little bit different by making it a unboxing slash walk down memory lane video. And by that I mean that I started in this hobby when I was in middle school or intermediate or whatever you call it, wherever you live. And right now I'm almost 30, so I've got a lot of this junk lying around. And by junk, I mean not this junk, but some really old stuff. And there are things that I've opened and painted, mainly for the Orcs and Goblins army that I was collecting way back when. But a lot of other stuff too. So I've decided I'm gonna bring out some of the old things, some of the old treasures, and show them side by side with my unboxing vids. So here's my Imperial Guard Commissar. Pick this up, Finecast, the new resin stuff. So let's see how it measures up. You get a base, of course, and you get this guy on the sprue. And I haven't even looked at it yet, so let's take a look, see if there's any miscasts or holes. Maybe if this guy's got a hole on his cape, then I can finagle a brand new model out of GW. I always seem to get miscasts with my Finecast stuff, for anybody who's seen my Eldar Incubi video. So he looks to be okay to me, just a little bit of flash. I guess that hole is negligible, it's not enough to warrant me complaining and asking for a new one. And you know, when they do come out well, the models come out really well. Look at the detail on the little ivy leaf on his hat and his armor and medals, the chain around his neck. I never had this model in metal, so I'm quite happy with the way that it looks. Power sword looks fine. Arm looks fine. Okay, so let me put this together and come back and show you what it looks like all built up before I paint it. But before I do that, let me show you the ancient relic from the depths of my man cave. Here is a Empire Warrior Priest for the Warhammer Fantasy range. Look at that, $5.99. And I'll put this guy on a base as well and show you what he looks like. Alright, see you when I get back. And we're back. The Lord Commissar is all put together. And I just love this figure. I love everything about it. I love that there's no miscast. Most of all, though. There were a lot of mold lines. And just because you have to take a lot of these pieces, like you gotta take the arms off the sprue with all the flash sticking out of it, you just gotta be careful about how much you shave and how, you know, how hard you press with your file or your hobby knife, because resin is so much easier to scrape and chip and chop than metal, than these things were when they were metal. That's one of the things I'm gonna miss about them, just that these guys they feel like so much more brittle. The metal figures, you know, say what you like about them being, I agree, they were harder to convert, they were harder to chop up, but sometimes, you know, when you're putting them together and you just want to use them as is, that's almost what you want. You want them to be durable. Anyways, the detail is fantastic. The Imperial Aquila on his breastplate, under that sash, the skull, the detail, that cocky smirk, you know, just everything about it makes this like one of the better models in the range, I think, compared to this old school warrior priest. And I'm putting him up here next to Heinrich von Schmutt, because if you notice, this guy standing straight up, walking forward, purposefully standing straight up. Young Heinrich here, he's crouching over. If Heinrich were to stand up, he'd be like to full height, at attention, he'd be like maybe this tall? I don't know, what do you think about that tall? What do you think, Heinrich? No! So, I find it funny that, you know, the models used to be smaller, the scale they were built to used to be a little bit shorter. At least it appears to me that way. So, there you go, there's a little bit of the old, with a little bit of the new. Yeah, look how short this guy is. He's like his little henchman. It's like his little sidekick. I say we burn the heretic. What do you think? Enchantment! So yeah, I'll paint these guys up and we'll see how they look at the last segment of the video. Enchantment! Alright players, here are my figures. Not based yet, because I'm planning to add this guy along with my catechins. And this one's not based yet because I'm still undecided on whether I should put him with this Ostermark group or give him something else. But let's take a look at these miniatures. Love this figure, even more so when he's painted, like the ribbons on his chest, all the little details. Hardest part was getting under the eye, but man, look at those scars on his face. Those are fantastic. I did those up just by washing into the scars with Leviathan purple and Baal red, and that way they don't look like he's got streaks of lipstick on his face. They actually look like his skin tone is under there somewhere, but it's covered up with that discolored, bruised look on it. I love his Mickey Mouse gloves. One holding the bolt pistol, the other holding the sword, the purple cloak. Tried to do an Imperial Aquila border, and not quite getting the hang of it yet. Gonna keep working on it though, so this guy is not completely finished, of course. And I'd like to go back and do the crystal sword effect, because this is the way the GW painted up their Commissar, with the bolt gun metal and just highlighted and shaded, and I don't find it as interesting and cool as the crystal sword, power weapon. Love the breastplate, the sash, the rich purple of the cloak, the green on the hat and on the shoulder. Great spot colors with the red cuffs and everything about this model. I love it. It looks really great and just heroic and suitably just awesome. So great guy, almost done with him, but I wanted to show this to you. Oh, you can see his scars a little bit better on his face here with this, from this angle. Yeah, so very cool. And let's look at the Priest of Sigmar next to Friedrich. So this, you could tell this model is starting to show its age. I was like, oh, he's Christian. But no, it's not a cross, it's a Hammer of Sigmar. I was kind of undecided on what color to use for his robes. I looked online and searched for the older out of print warrior priest models, and some of them did it with the bottom part of the robes as one color and the sleeves as a different color, and most of the art and figures you find have the newer Empire warrior priest models, so they're covered in plate mail and not this more, warrior monk looking model. So the chainmail I wanted to shade as very dirty and worn, like he spends a lot of time on campaign, so it gets dirty and muddy and he just doesn't have time to clean it. The hammers, the cool things I didn't notice about the hammers were the skull motifs on each side of the hammers. So I decided to do those up as gold. Oh, the parchment was the older style parchment where they actually modeled the words into it. So I didn't use Chaos Black, I just used Bad at Black ink to shade the words, because otherwise the black would be too shiny, and it just looks good, I think, as it is. There's a studded armor. Last thing I want to show you really is his scars and the way I decided to paint his head. So I did the same thing as with the Commissar. I shaded with red and purple to make the scars look fresh and discolored. And this guy I decided to do with his stubble and his hairline, because his head shape is smaller than the newer models, and just the way the head is shaped. And with the scars, I decided to give him a receding hairline. And I'm gonna call him my Jason Statham priest. So I think it turned out pretty well. I gave him stubble, dark gray and brown, which is just building a very, very light glaze and mixing it into your flesh color, which is talon flesh, and then just stippling it all over to make it look like stubble, or, you know, 5 o'clock shadow. And I think it came out pretty well. So this model is definitely showing its age. If I tried to paint this when I was back in middle school when I bought it, then or possibly a little bit later, I'm not sure when this model came out, but I know it was before I got back into the hobby, I don't think I could have done it as well as this. So very happy with it, and thank you for joining me for my first episode of In With The Old, where I unbox and check out a newer figure along with an older figure, all from Games Workshop, because I'm a total fanboy. Alright, hope you guys have a great Saturday. See you later. Enchantment?